Hello, everyone. Yes, as Suzie says, welcome along. It's great to see everybody today. If you're new to our events on the Business Support Network, we always like to encourage a bit of interaction, and we also like to know where everyone's dialing in from. It's good to see. So we're pretty much ready to go. So. Welcome on board, everybody. It's good to see everyone. As a lot of people know, Suzie has been with us from right from the start of the BSN, and she's been a stalwart supporting everything that we do. And Suzie has been here. At one point, she was running weekly webinars, doing mindset sessions, which were really, really well received across the board. But Suzie's primary focus, as well as coaching mindset, is speaking to people about how to fulfill their dreams and their aspirations of setting up a virtual assistant business, which is what Suzie is here to discuss today. So it's great to have you back, Suzie. Before you get going, I just wanted to kind of flag a couple of things that we've got coming up, that if you're here on the kind of for this particular session, that says that you are very interested in thinking about becoming a virtual assistant. So we a few of you may have seen or even attended the Virtual Assistant Startup Guide, which was a few weeks ago now. Well, it was back in October. It was quite a while ago now, actually. So so that was back in October. We're running a Black Friday offer on the content of that, of which you can grab from our store in the BSN network website. So do check that out. There's loads of information there, from how to start a virtual assistant business, to get clients and mindset, lots of different speakers and lots of tips around that. And also Suzie and I will be hosting another session in a few weeks' time, which we're both really, really excited about. It's another one of our large scale events, and Suzie has agreed to do some live coaching for people who want to make the transition into the virtual assistant world. So that's going to be full details on that are going to be announced this week, but it's on the 9th of December of an evening. It's going to be about 90 minutes long. And as I say, it's live coaching for people who want to be a virtual assistant. So as always, more than enough waffle from me. No one's here to listen to me. It's all about Suzie. Suzie, I'm going to leave this all to you because this is your kind of specialist subject. But as always, great to have you back. Thank you in advance. And yes, it's over to you.
Thank you, Paul, so much. And I always love your introductions and your little taglines. They're great. So welcome, everyone. I can definitely see some familiar faces. But for those of you, hi, excuse the cough. It is cough variant asthma, not COVID. I always like to get that out of the way up front. For those of you who don't know me, I'll just give you a little bit of background and do an introduction as to who I am and what I do. So my name is Suzie from Suzie Flynn Coaching. I'm a mindset and business coach, and I specialise in helping executive assistants build their virtual assistant business by figuring out the how of getting clients. Now, a little bit about my background. I wasn't always a mindset and business coach. In fact, I worked in corporate London for, 22 years, show my age, as a personal assistant and executive assistant. And I even did a very small stint and trained as a virtual assistant before deciding that actually I really, really wanted to launch the coaching business. And the rest is history, really. So that's a little bit about me. So I do have some slides to share and go through with you today. So just bear with me while I just bring this up. You can pop any questions in the chat and I'll come back to them later and at the end of the presentation when we've got time for Q&A. So let me just minimize that. Okay, so it's not in the way of the slides. And then I go full screen. Right, can Hopefully everyone can see that. I can't see the chat when I'm sharing, so I assume everyone can. Right, so today's talk is EA to VA, how to start your virtual assistant business today. So firstly, I'm going to look at two aspects really. Excuse me. The business side of it, so different things you can look at in terms of how to get started, in terms of building the business, some of the first things to start thinking about. And then we will look at the mindset side of things and the area where people get a little bit stuck in their head and they get stuck in certain beliefs. Right, so firstly, we're going to look at knowing your why. Let me just take a sip of water. Right, hopefully that will help my throat. So knowing your why is really important in business, in work, in anything we do, but I would say particularly so in business, because knowing your why really helps you connect with your purpose and your mission. Like, why do you want to be a virtual assistant? Is it what's the motivator there? Is it the money? Is it the lifestyle? Is it the fact that you get to spend more time with your family? Is it that you get to create a legacy and become a role model for your kids? Is it because you get to do something and create something which will make you proud of yourself? So really knowing your why and why you're running a VA business is really, really important because it will keep you motivated during tough times. Now, building a business can be really, really rewarding, but it also comes with its challenges, much like life, much like this year, right? It can come with unexpected challenges. So you want to be really connected with your why because it will keep you motivated, it will keep you moving forward. And I want to share this amazing quote by Simon Sinek. He wrote the book Start With Why. And if you haven't read that, I recommend it, and I recommend it to all my clients as an initial reading book. In fact, I read it twice and just got so much more clarity the second time. But he talks about people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And you may be familiar with that quote. And I want to share with you why I do what I do, not what I do. It's clear what I do. I help you set up a VA business. I help you get things in place so you can start attracting those ideal clients and money in the bank. But why I do it is because I truly believe that we have a choice, that the 9 to 5 isn't the only way, and that you are more than enough. You are more than capable. You have the knowledge, or you can find out the knowledge if you don't have everything you need right up front. You are more than capable of building a VA business. You're more than capable of creating life on your terms. You have a choice in the way that you live your life. And if you want to build a VA business, then you can. It's absolutely possible for you. So I want you to know that you do have a choice, and this is possible for you. So that is my why. And as you can probably tell, I feel really connected and really passionate about that why and serving my clients and really helping them believe in themselves and know what's possible, but also giving them the structure of what to do and how to build that business. So here's some questions you can use to dig a little bit deeper into understanding what your why is. So firstly, why do you do what you do? Like, why are you an assistant, or why do you want to be a virtual assistant? Okay, then just keep asking yourself why. It may sound a little bit, well, why are we doing that? Why do we keep asking why? Because every time we ask why, we dig a little bit deeper. We just keep digging a little bit deeper. What do you love about being an assistant, or what do you love about the idea of being a virtual assistant? Again, keep digging deeper. Why? Why do you love that? And get to the next question and just keep digging with that why question. It will really help you kind of peel back the layers of the onion. But what I will say is that you won't necessarily find out your why in 5 minutes. It can take time to evolve and really come to you. It took me probably a good couple of years to get as much clarity as I've got now. But I've done more work on it recently. And as I say, reading that book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, will be such a great place to start. So what do other people ask you for your help with? What do they come to you for? So I have a lot of friends that come to me with their problems, because one of my unique abilities is the ability to listen and to really sense and feel into people's emotions. And as a result, it really allows me to help my clients on a much deeper level, because I really sense what's going on underneath the surface. and what they're stuck on, and how I can support them as their coach to shift them forward. So, like, really ask yourself, what do people keep asking you for help with? And why? Is it because you're passionate about it? Is it because you've got a lot of experience in it? So dig a little bit deeper with that one. And then ask yourself, what are you naturally good at? Okay, what do you naturally enjoy doing? Because we want to make sure that when you build this business, you're not just doing things because you feel that you have to. I want you to feel passionate and excited about your business. And we will move on to that a little bit later in the course of today's webinar. Now, what would an ideal day look like for you? Again, dig deeper. Why? Why is that your ideal day? Maybe your ideal day is spending time with your family. Maybe your family is your why. So next up, we want to look at identifying your ideal client or customer. I prefer to use the term client. And this is something that a lot of people don't do the deep work with. And it's so, so important. And it's an area that I cover in my 12-week coaching program. So identifying your ideal client. First off, you want to look at who you want to help. Like, who do you want to help? Like, for me, I specifically help executive assistants. Okay. So who do you want to help? Do you want to help men? Do you want to help women? Do you want to help someone in a certain industry or a certain job title? All we're doing here is marketing. What we effectively want to create is an ideal client avatar. It's like an imaginary person. It's like a fantasy person, but we really want to bring them to life so that when we do put out posts on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or wherever we're marketing our services, it looks like we're writing to one person. Okay, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail as I go through today's talk. So really give your ideal client a life, like bring them to life. You know, what is their lifestyle? What are their hobbies and interests? What are their challenges? What, if you're a virtual assistant, you're going to be helping business owners. So what are their challenges? Yeah, they probably don't have enough time. But when we dig a bit deeper, we might find out actually it's more than just time. And I'll go on to that in a moment. And then again, what are their desires? What do they desire in their life? What do they want that they don't have? So get really clear on who you're helping. And then next we look at what problem you are going to solve for them. So what's keeping them up at night? What are their challenges, their struggles, their pain points? So I often hear virtual assistants say, or executive assistants say, oh, well, they're struggling with time because they need help with their admin. And yes, absolutely, they are struggling with their time. I'm, certainly put my hand up to that. As a busy business owner and entrepreneur, I sometimes do struggle with time. Thankfully, I now have my own virtual assistant, and she deals with the stuff that keeps me up at night, that is my struggle and my pain point. For me, it's tech. I just don't do tech, and I can spend hours trying to sort something out, getting stressed, and it can sometimes lead me into a hot mess, just tears down the face. I can't do this. It's not my flow state. It's not my zone of genius. So I outsource it to someone who is good at that. So next we look at how are you going to deliver the outcome. So this is kind of where we look at what services are you going to offer for your ideal client, okay? So what services are you going to offer for your ideal client? So maybe you want to focus specifically on, say, email marketing. And this is where we would look at a niche. And I'm not going to talk to you about this in today's program. I do have an ebook about it, and it's included in my program, but I don't want to go down that route just yet because it's quite a big subject and I don't think we've really got time to do it enough credit with everything else I want to touch on. But I do want you to think about what services are going to help your client. How are your services going to help them solve their struggles, their pain points of not having enough time in their day, and how that problem is affecting them? Is it that they don't have enough time in their day and the result of that is affecting them because they can't scale their business and they're not spending enough time with their family? So those are a few questions to think about. And if you've got any questions yourself, pop them in the chat box and I will come back to them later. Otherwise, just share your insights in the chat box and I will come back to you later and answer any questions you have. So next is research your ideal client. So this is absolutely crucial. And again, something people don't always do enough of. You can never research your ideal client enough. 6 months into business, I would say, like, do some research again, or every 6 months to a year, because things will shift. and you always want to learn more and more and more. The more you understand your ideal client, the more they will feel recognized by you. So in terms of researching your ideal client, firstly, where does your ideal client hang out? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Twitter? Are they on Pinterest? Are they on Facebook? Where are they hanging out? Okay, so really identify where your ideal client's hanging out and get involved in those conversations. And then really ask, are they buying from that platform? And the only way to really know is to engage in conversation, see what they're talking about, get into the DMs with them, speak to them about your services, because you might want to go to someone might want to go to Pinterest to look for recipes, but they're not necessarily going to buy. They may just want recipe for their dinner for their for their kids' dinner, but they're not necessarily going to buy from there. So you really want to think about excuse me, sorry about the croaky voice. You really want to think about where your ideal client is buying from, and the best way to find that out is just test the platforms. Okay, and as I say here, you can research the different social media platforms. I know some people might have a preference for Facebook, some might have a preference for LinkedIn. Personally, me, I've used LinkedIn for 1.5 years with just great results, and I wouldn't be here otherwise. And I know my ideal client is on LinkedIn because you're here on this call today. You can also engage in Facebook groups, and Facebook groups is a great way to do market research, to start getting involved in conversations, see what people are talking about. You can even put your own posts out there. And in fact, I saw one today inside a big entrepreneur group called the Freedom Collective. And someone was asking some questions about their niche, and they were doing some research. So the more people you speak to, the more informed you will be about your ideal client, the pain points and struggles that they have, and more specifically, how you can help them. You'll just better understand them. So moving on from moving further on with researching your ideal client, connect, follow, and have conversations. So it may seem obvious, but I want to go a little bit deeper. So firstly, connect. If you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you are, make sure every single day you're connecting with, say, at least 10 people every single day. So you've got people in your feed, and then follow them, engage and have conversations with them. Treat them like they were in the room with you. Treat them like they were just another person. Speak to them like they were standing right in front of you. You don't need to be a robot. Just think how you would speak to someone if they were standing in front of you. And I want to touch on engaging and nurturing. So engaging is when you've had that connection, you're following, you're having conversations, you're engaging in a conversation, okay? The nurturing part is when you're nurturing them onto an email list or into the DMs, and you're priming them to invest either time or money with you. So time could be inviting them to a discovery call, or money could be them invested in hiring you as a virtual assistant, whether it's 10, 20 hours a month or a few hours a month. It's about engaging and then moving into that nurturing, which is priming them to invest time or money in you. Also, you can research and experiment with hashtags. This is particularly great for Instagram. So play around with hashtags, okay? See what works. Don't be afraid to change them up. So run certain hashtags for a month and see what works, and then shift them and just observe and make a note. Now on LinkedIn, you may be aware that if you type in a hashtag, like if I typed in hashtag executive assistant, it shows you how many people are following it. Then you can type in hashtag EA and you can see the difference. So think about what your ideal client will be looking for. Are they going to be looking for virtual assistant? Are they going to be looking for email management? Are they going to be looking for time management? You always want to be thinking with your ideal clients, at the forefront of your mind. It's not about you, it is about your ideal client. And another thing to do in terms of the research, which is absolutely fantastic, and it changed the game for me in terms of really understanding my ideal client and understanding what they were struggling with and where they needed help from me, is to actually interview your ideal client, and also to send out surveys. So you can create a simple survey on Google Forms or Microsoft Forms, It doesn't have to be War and Peace. It can just be, say, 10 questions. Keep it simple, but think about, what do you want to know about your ideal client? Do you want to know that they, do you want to know what they're struggling with? Do you want to know why they haven't hired a VA up to now? What do you want to know about about your ideal client? And surveys are a great way to find out information, because you can put that out in different Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups, or share it with people, and you can keep it anonymous and people can come back and fill it in, and it helps you gather data. Another thing to do is interview your ideal client. So get to know them a little bit, engage with them, and then pop them a message and say, hey, my name is Susie, I'm just building my business. I'd love to spend, say, 20 minutes with you, just asking you a few questions, just to do some research as I build my business. Would you be open to supporting me with that? Now, most people are absolutely fine. Not everyone will say yes. That's okay. Just move on. And that will really help inform you as to what kind of language your ideal client is using. And then when you know the kind of language they're using, you can literally use that same language in your posts that you put out on social media, so that when they read that post, they're like, oh, she gets me, she understands me. Okay, so that's really, really important. Right, sorry, wrong button. Right, so I want to talk to you about the next steps before we move on to the mindset piece. So I have a free PDF, the 5 things you need to know before you quit the 9 to 5. So it goes into more detail of what I've already discussed, and it offers, sorry, postman. It offers other things as well, which will help you start to shift your thinking and think about some of the things that you can start to implement, which don't really cost any money at all, that will help you move forward. So if you want to download that free PDF, the 5 things you need to know before you quit the 9 to 5, just go to suzieflynn.com, quit the 9 to 5, and it will be winging its way to your inbox. Right. Next, I don't know enough. That is one of the top 3 things I hear from assistants the most. I don't know enough. And this is coming from assistants that have been an assistant for 20 years plus. But it's often not, it's not always about not knowing enough about being an assistant. It's about the business side. And that's definitely where I can help you. And I just want to talk you through some things that I can help you shift a little bit out of this belief. So firstly, take some time to look back at your accomplishments and celebrate your achievements. Because so often we focus on what we haven't achieved, what we don't know, and then we start to beat ourselves up and feel that we're not good enough or we don't know enough. So I really encourage you to start thinking and looking back at your achievements and your accomplishments throughout your career and throughout your life. So it could mean that you're looking at LinkedIn, looking back at the recommendations. It could mean that you're reviewing your personal performance plan with your employer and just reading through that and recognizing what you have done well. Also, if you don't know enough, I know as an ex-assistant myself that assistants are very, very resourceful and they're always keen to learn. So instead of focusing on what you don't know, focus on your ability to learn. And ask yourself, what resources do I have available to me? Maybe it's a free online webinar, such as today. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's, there's so much information. We live in an information age. So what resources do you have available to you that can help you take that step forward? And I want you to know you don't need to know everything straight away. Even if you made a 1% shift forward, every single day for a month, you moved 1% forward. How much is that? It's 30%. So don't put loads of pressure on yourself feeling that you need to know everything now. Just learn something new every day and you'll shift 30% in a month, which is huge. So focus on the possibilities and not the limitations. Focus on what you have, not what you don't have. And really put that positive energy, put your energy into those positive thoughts instead of the negative thoughts, which can start to bring you down. So here's some practical action steps that you can take that will help you shift your mindset around this. Okay, so note down the 3 things that you're good at and the strengths that which you feel make you shine. Okay, so for me, some of my strengths are I'm a good listener, I'm very intuitive, so I sense people's emotions and I sense really, what the core issue is. So I'm really, really great at that. Maybe you're really, really good at systems or structures or strategy. So just, create a list of the things that you're good at, and as you build your business, this is going to be a great list for you to come back to and revisit as you review the kind of services that you want to offer. Okay, the next thing is have a journal to record positive thoughts and then just revisit them on challenging days, because we all have good days and we all have bad days, because we're just human after all, right? So record your positive thoughts, record how you felt, just journal maybe. And then when you're feeling low, go back to that thought diary, okay, and revisit the positive thoughts and focus on that, and it will shift your energy and it will shift how you feel in the moment. So another way to do a thought diary is to rewrite your negative thoughts into positive thoughts. So as you become aware of negative thoughts that creep into your mind, just write them down and literally flip the switch. So I was doing this exercise with a client over the course of our last session, and she just fed back in Slack and she was sharing how she got on with it. And it could be simple as, this client isn't going to purchase from me, and simply flip into, this client is purchasing from me. Because we literally just want to change the way we're thinking. The brain is like an operating system. We need to be mindful of the commands that we send it, i.e. the language. So fear of failure is another one that comes up a lot. What if I don't get the clients? What if I don't earn enough money? What if I fail and have to go back and get a job? What if it doesn't work for me? Is any of that familiar to you? It's all what I felt too when I was starting out in business. And you know what? It's perfectly normal, because our mind is so used to the familiar that when we decide to take a big action like building our own business, we are effectively stepping into the unfamiliar, and our mind doesn't like change, and it tries to bring us back to what feels familiar for us. Okay, so fear of failure is just your mind trying to keep you safe, and it will keep you stuck where you are. As the saying goes, you are what you think and you attract what you focus on. So be aware of your thoughts. And that's why it's always good to do that flip the switch exercise or have a positive thought diary, so that you can really start to focus on the things that make you feel good. And imagine if you spent 4 hours watching the news every day. Would you feel good? Probably not. If you spent 4 hours listening to motivational videos or educational webinars, would you feel more positive? Most likely. Okay, so I want you to know that 85% of our fears don't actually manifest into reality. So when you are starting to spiral and starting to think about the things which are keeping you stuck, like, oh, I don't know enough, I'm not good enough, what if I fail, etc., is it a thought, or is there actually any evidence there to support that belief? Okay, is it a thought, a belief, or is there evidence to to support that? And if there's evidence, then what can you do about it? Because you are in control of so many things. Another thing you can do around the fear of failure is get curious with your thoughts and ask yourself where that belief came from, okay? Because often we learn our beliefs from our childhood, from our peers, our parents, our teachers, our older siblings, our family members, but also from society, from the news, from, what we read, etc. So if you've got a negative thought, just take a moment and get curious with that thought and ask yourself, where did it come from? So some practical questions you can ask yourself around fear of failure. Again, back to the evidence. What evidence do I have to support this belief? Okay, because most of the time there is no evidence. Just a few years ago, I was not in a great place. I had an accident, I'd left corporate, I was building my business, and it was slow at first. And I kept on telling myself I was going to lose my home, but there wasn't any evidence. I was still paying my mortgage. I had a little bit of savings, and I had some clients starting to come through slowly but surely. So often we spend time in what my coach calls the future focus library, and not the present moment. So ask yourself, what evidence is there to support the belief, and bring yourself back to the present moment, because it's all that you have, okay, and it's what you can control. So next, ask, if you've got a certain belief that keeps running through your mind, ask, how long have you been running that belief, okay? And is it really, really true? Because sometimes we've been running a belief for so long, it just becomes familiar, it becomes normal, it becomes conditioned, and we just believe it. But question it, get curious with it. Is it really true? And then ask yourself, what better feeling thought can you replace your negative thoughts with? So if you're telling yourself, oh, I won't get clients in my VA business, then choose a better feeling thought. But don't just choose the better feeling thought, shift the emotion as well. So if you're in fear, if there's an emotion of fear, maybe you're feeling that at the pit of your stomach, in your throat. But how do you want to feel instead? Maybe you want to feel positive or excited or hopeful, and really just tune into that feeling in your body and notice where it sits in your body, what the energy is like, etc. And focus on that positive emotional feeling and the new language, because we are feeling beings. So feel into how you want to feel. The last one I want to talk about is not feeling good enough, which ultimately everyone at some point feels are not good enough. And this comes from a lady that I follow, Marissa Peer. She introduced RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, to the world, which I can highly recommend. I had a session last Friday and it's definitely changed so much for me. So when you feel like you're not good enough, here's some things that you can do. Become aware of your thoughts and ask yourself, what is the benefit of believing that thought? Okay. And if there's no benefit, again, switch up the thought. You know, if there's an action that you're taking, what is the benefit of that action? So really just, again, get curious with your thoughts. And I love this one. Less judgment of what you're doing, more recognition. We are so often, so easily judgmental of ourselves and others. Put a yes in the chat box if you've ever been judgmental of yourself, or others for that matter. I know without a doubt I've judged myself. I've been overly critical on myself. So less judgment and more recognition of what you're doing and what's going well, okay? Now, you've probably heard of this phrase, get back in your own lane. Now, what I mean by that is that when you're starting out in business, it's easy to compare yourself to others that are further down the road. Oh, she's better than me, she's got more clients, etc., etc. Now, comparison is the thief of joy, but you can get jealous of them and use it in a positive way. Like, what are they doing in their business that's creating success for them? Okay, so what are they doing in their business that's creating success for them? And then look at, adapting similar behaviors. Like, what can you learn and what can you take away from that person? So think of it in terms of role models. So if you're jealous of someone, why are you jealous of them? And then what can you learn from that person that will help you move forward and help you create the same or similar success as this other person? So choose self-empowering language. So often we say, oh, I should be doing this, or I have to do this, or I need clients, okay? It's very heavy language. It's almost like a form of self-bullying, like I have to, I should, I need to. And it's not the energy that I want you to be in as a budding business owner. So let's shift that language. You don't need to get a client, you get to get a client, okay? You don't have to, you get to. You have a choice, you always have a choice, okay? I should do this. No, you could. So I really want you to start thinking about shifting your language from that heavy, I have to, I need to I get to. I get to get a client in to my business. And forget about how. You don't need to know the how, just trust, okay? Shift your energy, shift your focus, shift into that I could do this and I get to do this, and you will feel so much lighter. So lastly, here's some practical action steps. So this comes again from Marissa Peer, who is one of my, I don't say mentors because I've not worked with her directly, but she's a lady that I follow who I admire greatly. And her approach is that everyone ultimately, subconsciously, they don't feel enough. And what she says is to repeat that phrase, I am enough, consistently every day to reprogram your mind. So repeat it and sit there and feel into that statement, I am enough. You can get jewelry, you can get rings, you can get bracelets, you can get t-shirts, I've written I am enough on my mirror, okay? Because ultimately we are all enough. But what happens is we have subconscious programming from our childhood years that programs us into the belief that we are not enough. But I want you to know that's not true. You are enough and you have everything that you need to build the VA business. Everything is available for you. Everything is available for you. Next, I want to talk about listing out ways that you can be intentional with celebrating your success. So often when we think about celebrating a success, we'll think about let's have a glass of champagne or, celebrate in that kind of way. And that's absolutely fine. But when we celebrate our success, it's really about being intentional. So I took on a lovely new client who I think is on our call today. And my way of celebrating our journey together, which I'm really excited for, was getting intentional and just taking some time to read my book and have a nice, relaxing cup of tea and just be intentional in that moment. Okay. The last thing you can do, and I touched on this before, is choose 3 role models to follow and model their behavior and language. Like, who is your role model? Maybe there's someone in the VA industry that you is a role model for you. Maybe someone in the assistant industry, such as Lucy Brazier or Bonnie Lowe-Crayman, etc. Or maybe it's myself, I don't know. But choose 3 people and follow them. Look at the way they stand, the way they act, what they say, what they hear, etc., and start to adapt your own practices modeled off their behavior and their language. Because if they're successful, then you can create your own success through modeling their behavior and language. So just on to the last slide. I just want to talk to you briefly about my 12-week coaching program, the VA Freedom Startup. So I'm taking people into this program between now and I close it on the 24th of December, and then I'm closed for 2 weeks. So the VA Freedom Startup is designed for assistants much like you who are just starting out, they don't know how to get started, they're feeling overwhelmed, they don't know how to get clients, they're questioning how to market themselves, how to put their offering together, how to get the HMRC set up, etc. And they need someone that's going to help guide them through it, that's going to support them, hold them accountable, and give them the steps they need to create a business. So effectively, they have a long-term structure for success and a business that they can scale and grow. So if you want to find out more about my 12-week coaching program and you want to find out more about it and find out more about how I work and my program, and I'd love to find out more about you, then I'll pop that link into the chat, but click on the link and book a VA strategy call with me. It's a 30-minute session where we're just gonna have a chat, find out more about who you are, where you're at, what you need, and what is your vision for the future. And I want you to know that vision is 100% available for you. So if you feel that would be benefit and you want to find out more about the program, then I'll pop the link into the chat and we can have a call. It would be lovely to talk to you. So lastly, I'd love to connect with you if we are not already connected. So you can find me on Facebook at Suzie Flynn Coaching, on LinkedIn at Suzie Flynn. You can email me at suzie@suzieflynn, or you can take a look at my website at suzieflynn.com. So take a screenshot of that if you want all the details. I'm sure I'm connected with a lot of you already, but some of you I may not be, so it would be a pleasure to connect with you. So I hope you found today's presentation useful. So let me just stop sharing my slide and I'm just going to pop in the link. So I've just seen Nicole said I have to go to another meeting, but thanks for the great info. So that's no problem. I'm going to hand back over to Paul as usual, and then just open the chat up to any questions that people have for me. And if you want to come off video, absolutely come off video. If you want to pop something in the chat, then please do that. Otherwise, just let me know what you learned, what your ahas were. And back over to Paul.
Thank you so much, Susie. Great information, as we expected it was going to be. So yeah, as Susie has mentioned, if anyone has got any questions that they would like to voice, as we say, now is the time. If anyone wants to come off mute and have a chat, please do. It's not often you get a chance to kind of really throw some questions out there. So if anyone has anything, then obviously please let us know. Whilst we're waiting for people to put their hand up, we've got another event coming up on Thursday, which is a new speaker to the Business Support Network. It's a guy called Paul Wilson, and he is talking about imposter syndrome, which is something a lot of people have been speaking about recently. So we've got a question come through, and Susie, what kind of numbers are we talking about? How much does it cost normally to set up a virtual assistant business?
Okay, so Geraldine, can I just get a little bit more specific with you when you say what is the startup cost? What are you talking about specifically? Because to start a VA business, all you really need is a Wi-Fi and a laptop. That's all you need, okay? Yes, you can invest in a coach, and that will definitely move you forward faster. And if you want to talk about my program, then book a call in with me and we can have that chat. But it's really about getting into action with doing the research around who your ideal client is, figuring out your niche, showing up consistently on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever your ideal client is hanging out. There are models out there where you can invest in a franchise, and there's online training courses. There's different models, but ultimately it doesn't have to cost you anything, okay? So there are different options. So Geraldine, I hope that answers your question, but if you can be a little bit more specific in terms of what you meant with the startup cost, because there doesn't have to be one. As I said,
that's fine. I think what I've seen out there, it must be the franchise cost. So that figure's kind of sat in my head and obviously had me step back.
Okay. Because I've heard that a few times and I'm like, what do people mean by the startup cost? Because there isn't, unless you choose to work with someone like myself or you choose to invest in a program. But again, that's a choice, and I believe it will help move you forward more. But yeah, there are franchises out there. Just be careful with them, because I did read an article yesterday by Joanne Monroe from the VA handbook around some scams there. So just do your due diligence if that's the route that you decide to go down, Geraldine.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. So we have a question from Takamai. Hopefully I have pronounced your name correctly. I'm setting up a VA business slowly. Well, let me tell you, there is no rush. Okay, you don't build a business and become a millionaire overnight, but I'm not confident, as there are many systems, apps to learn to be a VA. How do you learn these systems? Can you please advise? Okay, we'll just start with one system at a time. Like, when you are starting out, you don't need to know everything straight away. Okay, so focus on your zone of genius, focus on what you're good at. So if you're really good at, say, systems, for example, and that's what you enjoy, then focus on that. There are several different email marketing systems out there, but maybe you just choose to focus on one at a time. But I think it's very easy to start to run before you can walk. I would just say focus on one thing at a time. Do you remember I said earlier about just making that 1% increase in your learning every day? So know that if you're learning one new skill every day, even a little bit, then over 30 days or over a month, that's 30 to 31% increase. So what do you mean by like Excel? Do you want to explain that a little bit more, Takamai? Hopefully I've got your name right.
There's also, whilst you're broaching this topic, Susie, there's a whole section on the VA Startup Guide which goes into great detail about systems and product knowledge. So there's lots of information on there if you want to check that out.
There you go, Takamai. Go check that out. Go and check out Paul's website, and with all the information there, it's the-bsn.com. But yeah, what I would say is, I think as a business owner, it's very easy to put yourself under a lot of pressure and that feeling of, I don't know enough. When you attract your ideal client, just have that honest and open conversation with them and let them know where you're at. Often it can be like, I don't know this, but I can learn. There would have been things that you didn't know when you started a new job, and you didn't learn everything on day one, but over a period of weeks, months, and years, you learned that. So be kind to yourself, recognize how much you do know, and just keep learning one day at a time, 1% at a time, keep moving forward, okay? So any more questions coming through? I'm just going to pop those links in there. So there's the free download. And if anyone wants to book a call with me to find out more about my coaching program and setting up as a VA, then I'd love to talk to you. Are there any questions in the Facebook chat, Paul, that we've got coming through?
Not that I can see, but whilst we're waiting to see a minute or so to see if another one does come through, yeah. As most of you on this call kind of know, I'm not a virtual assistant, but I have worked in the business support arena for a long time, for over 20 plus years. And I've had my own business for 11 years now. And I echo everything that Suzie has said about just going for it and kind of blowing away the mindset of, I don't know this, I don't know this, I don't know this. The only way you're going to find out something and find out whether you can overcome these obstacles is to just by tackling it head on. It is really scary and it is something that is quite daunting, but ultimately being a business owner is one of the most rewarding and and the best things that you can possibly do. So I echo everything that Suzie has said today. So I just wanted to, Suzie knows that I always like to add my 2 pennies worth in. Hopefully it's relevant sometimes, but I just wanted to add that. So we've got another question coming in. I started posting on LinkedIn as I've turned myself from EA to VA. Will it work in getting work virtually?
I love that question. Just at the back of what you were saying, Paul, I love that you share your own knowledge. And I think that's why we work so well together. Business is an experiment, okay? You're not going to have everything sorted day one, because if you did, you'd quit your job today, you'd be fully booked with clients. That doesn't happen. If that was the case, I would be a millionaire and I'd be in the Bahamas, like having a pina colada, one day. Okay, so know that business is an experiment. It can be fun. You're always learning, and that's what I love about being a business owner, amongst many other things. Now, I have no idea how to pronounce your name, so I'm not going to butcher it. I'm just going to answer your question. So, will it work in getting virtual assistant clients using LinkedIn? Yes, it will, but you need to have a strategy, okay? You can't just show up and then just hope that it's going to work. There's different moving parts to a business. So I've touched on some of them already. Firstly, who is it that you're helping? How are you helping them? And what problem are you going to solve? And also there's something that I talk about called the passion, value, profit triangle. So think about, what are you most passionate about? Like, is it working in a particular industry? Is it a specific service that you offer? Where do you add the most value? Look back at your skills and experience. And where do you make the most profit? It's more likely to be a retainer as opposed to an hourly. So you really want to have that passion, value, profit, all of them. It's a triangle, not just two, because that's just 2 lines. So LinkedIn absolutely does work. And I looked up statistic before I came on. There's 660 million users on LinkedIn. They're influencers, much like you are here today. Everyone here today is an influencer, okay? So in answer to your question, yes, LinkedIn works, but you need to have a strategy behind it to make it work effectively. And you need to be, I can't stress this enough, you need to be consistent in your marketing. You cannot show up on a Wednesday in November, then pop along on a Tuesday 3 weeks later in December. That won't work. You need to be consistent. You need to do some research into your ideal client. There's so many different elements. I can't cover it all here, but yes, LinkedIn does work, but you have to have a marketing strategy. And again, it's something I cover in my program. So hopefully that answers your question to some degree.
I couldn't agree more with the LinkedIn comments there. To be fair, it is about consistency, and it's about knowing what your end goal is going to be. And if you think of the job of a recruitment consultant, the most important part of recruitment is actually getting clients, because if you haven't got any clients, then you're not going to have any jobs. So if you are kind of applying the same principle of being, as what Suzie says, of being consistent and relevant all of the time, then over the course of time, naturally, you're going to see a growth and you're going to see long-term results. But it doesn't just happen overnight. It does take time.
Yeah, and 2 points there. Firstly, like I've had people book a call with me and then later sign up with me, and I say to them, like, what attracted you to booking a call with me? They said, well, I kept on seeing you like everywhere because I was consistent. I was relentless because I love what I do. I want to help those that want to set up a VA business. This is my job. This is my business. This is my passion. Okay. And if I showed up sporadically, I would be doing myself a disservice, and I'll be doing my clients and my audience a disservice because I have knowledge to share, like today. Okay. If I didn't show up consistently, me and Paul would never have met. Okay. And another thing I want you to know, like Paul says quite rightly, that it takes time to build a virtual assistant business. And I spoke to a lady recently who is looking to sign up into my coaching program, and she has been made redundant and she's just leaving her job, and now she's looking to build a VA business. Please, please, please do not wait. Okay, there are many things that you can do if you're in a position where sadly you may be redundant in a month's time. Start now. Okay, and I say that with emphasis because there's so much stuff that you can start doing that doesn't affect your business, you know, being an employer working for someone else, that you can easily fit around your career. Okay, my program's designed so that it's not really, really time intensive. It's designed so you can fit it around working full time. So don't wait until you're in your last week. If you want to be a VA and you're thinking about it, then take action, because there's lots of things that you can do. And please don't wait to the last minute, because if you take an action 2 months before, even just tapping into your network, this is the first thing I get my clients to do. Like, tap into your network, speak to 5 people. And someone said to me the other day, oh, my family don't need a VA. It's not about your family. Tell them, or ask them rather, you know, who do they know in their world that might need a virtual assistant? You speak to 5 people, then each of those speak to 5 people. I think that's 25, but maths is not my strong point. Okay, it's called your circle of influence. Okay, so you can start, you know, building your business, and you might even get a client before you leave. And it may be that you're not being made redundant. But look, I know it's scary. But trust me, you've got this. I believe in you. I know what is possible for you. I know that if I can build my business and go through some of the very many challenges that I've had, Paul knows some of them, then you can do it too. It's 100% available to you. Off my soapbox now.
Couldn't agree more. And what perfect words to finish up on, actually. I've just, while she were talking, I was listening as well at the same time. I was listening, but checking Facebook as well. And we've had some comments on there. And a couple of people who are existing VAs have jumped on and said what a great journey they're having. And one in particular has been doing the job for 4 years now, and specializes in creating creative services. And, you know, she kind of echoes everyone's thoughts and says, what a great journey it is. So, guys, if this is something that you're interested in, hopefully this information has helped you out. As I mentioned at the beginning, there's lots of resources around. Do please feel free to check out the Virtual Assistant Startup Guide on our website. But also in a couple of weeks' time, Suzie is back for a real coaching session. So we're going to kind of take it to that next level. So there's kind of been, as we say, about being consistent and what have you. All of the stuff that we've been doing is kind of planned. You know, we talk about virtual assistants, we do a startup guide, we do this, and then we do a coaching thing. So, you know, all of the kind of principles we're applying here, and you know, and sharing the information to help as many people. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of how you can kind of introduce those strategies into your work as well. So
just to give you a very, very small teaser in terms of what that group coaching session would look like. all we're doing is doing laser sessions. So we'll be doing 5-minute sessions with people. So coming off video, addressing their questions. I'll be coaching them around what they're struggling with. And with the group coaching, that often if you don't, what happens is, even if you don't come onto the hot seat, your question will be answered. So I want you to know that it's going to support you widely. And also you were saying about the assistants in the Facebook group, saying it's the best thing that they've done. And also remember that you don't need to have that many clients. When I ask my clients, like, how many clients do you want to have? They don't know. And I spoke to a lady recently and I broke it down for her. And so there's 660 million users on LinkedIn. Okay. And if you want, say, for example, to have 3 retainer clients, 10 hours a month at 25 or 30 pounds, okay, you need 3 clients, 660 million. I think you can do the maths. Okay. So don't overcomplicate it, keep it simple. It's possible for you, it's possible for everyone. So that's what I want to pass on.
Definitely. Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you everyone for your time, for joining in. And as always, thank you, Suzie. It's great to see you again. Great to have you back on after a couple of weeks. So thank you. Thanks for your time. So hope that was helpful, everybody. Please connect with us, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paul. Thank you everyone for taking your time out today. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Right.